Hey you guys, what's up? This is James here at Unique Perspectives. Thought I'd make another video. I actually wanted to talk about the idea of being able to say no to the idea of being just friends. So I want to focus specifically on men, but I think a lot of the ideas I'm going to share does apply to women as well. But my primary focus for this video is men. Obviously, I'm a man and I have experienced this position a few times in my life, and it wasn't until later on I realized that I had some type of control over how does this sort of go when it comes to my life and things like that. So I just want to share that. I don't want to make this video too complicated. I have certain areas I like to cover certain things, and I'll just keep it simple. So once again, James here at Unique Perspective. Let's get into the topic. Like many men, especially in our Western society, I have been what we would call friend zoned. I have been interested in a woman romantically. I have made it very clear I was interested in her romantically, and instead of her taking me up on that offer or being interested mutually, she will tell me, hey, you know what, I would just love to be your friend, or I consider you a friend, James, you're an amazing guy, and all this stuff. It's nice to hear that I'm reliable. It's nice to hear that I am amazing. It's nice to hear that I'm a great friend and I'm reliable. But then you almost are forced to wonder, if I have all these amazing traits, then why am I not qualified to be your partner? Why am I not qualified to be your husband? Why am I not qualified to even be able to go on a date with you? And so it's a very confusing message for a lot of us guys, and I think some ladies fall into this without actually thinking through those comments or those statements when they make those statements, because it doesn't really make a lot of sense. Now, I think that from a lady's perspective, it's very beneficial to have a group of guys that you know that they have a very rich character, you know that they have integrity, that they are consistent, that they are people that are reliable, that you can ask for help when you're in need. So it's very beneficial to almost collect a few guys that you know that you can trust, because they will look out for you during those difficult times, especially if you don't want to bother your family. You can just bother these guys. You know, they want to connect with you romantically, so they will probably feel inclined to help you. But the issue is, for the other side of the gate, or the other perspective, for the guy in that position, what is his thoughts? You know, now obviously we have some guys that they don't really care. They're just being nice to this person. Maybe they do consider this person or this woman a friend, an actual friend. But there are some guys that, yeah, we don't mind helping, but we are actually interested romantically. And so it can be a very difficult position to be in for some of us when we want more. And so I really want to just unpack that. But yeah, I've been in this position a few times in my life, I'm going to say. More times than I would prefer, actually, to admit. But I remember just one situation in particular that stood out to me was, I was working at a school years ago, and I met this really nice lady. I think she arrived as one of the teachers later on. As I was there for years, she arrived later on, and I didn't instantly really find her attractive. I thought she was a nice looking lady, but very nice, very sweet. And it wasn't until later on when I started to get to know her, I actually started to develop feelings for her, at the point where I actually arranged to buy flowers for her and have them delivered at the job when I was on like vacation or something like that. So this is like when I was in my 20s. And it was a very interesting situation, because at that point she was around her early to mid 20s as well. So at that point she even admitted she never received flowers up to that point. And I remember we had a very awkward conversation when I got back the next week from vacation, because I didn't actually sign the card to let her know it was me. And I didn't warn her ahead of time, but it was later on that we had a very awkward conversation, and she thanked me because I revealed later on that it was me who had the flowers delivered to her. And I just assumed that, like in the movies, she was going to basically roll out the red carpet so I can potentially be her boyfriend. And although she was very grateful and very gracious with the kind gesture, you know, she hugged me and we talked a little bit about it, but she reassured me that one of the reasons why she didn't want to go down that route with me as a potential partner is because she did not want to lose me as a friend. Now, at the time, I was very naive, and I accepted that. I thought, well, you know what? That's very sweet that she doesn't want to lose me as a friend, so she wants to, obstruct me, I'm going to say, from actually dating her, So to me, I was actually very flattered. And at first, I thought, oh, that's really nice. I get it. She wants me in her life. But I started to reflect on our life, and I realized that we didn't text much at all, when we're outside of work. We didn't hang out or spend time. I didn't know her family. She didn't know mine. We didn't go anywhere. And I realized that we actually were not friends. We were not friends. And I'm not suggesting she was lying. Maybe she believed we were. We were very cordial. We were coworkers, but I realized right at that point that we were not actually friends. And so I actually went into, and I don't want to say depression. I wouldn't say it was depression, but I became incredibly bitter with just women in general. And it was my first introduction to developing a disdain for not only women, but dating in general, especially in the Western world, And so this is back in my 20s. And I was just very uncomfortable with the position I was in, because here I had these feelings for this lady. She verified with me that I was an amazing guy, that I had attributes that she had never seen in any other man, And this is something that I have been told by a number of women. I thought that it was very flattering to hear something like that, but I was still confused with why I was not given the opportunity to be this person's partner. That part I did not understand. I think now that I'm older, I have a lot more understanding. I believe this particular lady, she has 2 to 3 children. I don't think there's a guy involved anymore. She's around my age, so maybe things didn't work out. I'm not entirely sure. I see her online, and I don't see a lot of photos of her partner with her anymore. So maybe that's a done deal. And it's interesting because, I'm not trying to bag on her, but this is a scenario that happens very, very often to a lot of ladies. And I think for some guys, I'm not going to say all, because not all guys have good intentions, but there are a lot of guys that we look at that. We see that there are ladies that will choose somebody else that have maybe a poor character, that they have inconsistent tendencies when it comes to their personality, and they're not reliable. And a lot of us are confused. Why would a woman create children with a person like this, or live with a person like this, or try to build a family with a person like this, and choose a person like this, and marry a person like this, when you see all the red flags? And it's almost like, I don't know, there's almost like this rejection of like the more honest guy. Now, I don't want to give the impression that I believe every guy that appears to be decent is a good guy. Obviously there are a lot of wolves in sheep's clothing. We know that. We know that there are a lot of guys that wear masks. They're very good. They'll pretend to be religious. They'll pretend to be very kind-hearted. And when the woman gets very close to them, then she finds out the hard way that the person's a monster. And I know a few ladies that have had to learn that the hard way, that they've devoted their life to this guy that appeared to be somewhat of a nerd or somewhat of a kind soul for 5 years, 15 years, 20 years, 30 years, whatever. And then they find out later on the guy was done with them, and they learn, like, okay, they did not choose wisely. And so I think ladies obviously need to do better with that. But I just want to discuss for us guys, it's okay to not accept being just friends. I think that to some people it may be a little controversial, because some people would say, well, James, you're a Christian guy. Why are you telling guys that they don't have to be friends with a woman just because they can't have the woman as a romantic partner? And I do think that it's possible for men and women to be just friends if there is a boundary set and there is no attraction. I think that is perfectly possible. But I think we also, as men, we need to be very careful and cautious with our time. For example, there are a lot of guys I have known, and I have been one of these guys, where I actually waited for a woman to end her relationship, because I thought that after she's done with this person, or things don't work out because maybe I've seen the traits of a failing relationship, I just thought maybe she'll just choose me after. And sometimes that can be 1 year or 2 years or more. And I don't think that it's the best fit for a man or a woman, but a man to wait around to see if he can get chosen, when there are women out in the world that will choose us the first time and stay with us and appreciate the attributes that we uniquely bring to a relationship. And so I think it's self-defeating to wait around for someone to recognize your value, when there are women that will recognize your value the first time. They won't have to go through difficult situations and failed relationships and failed marriages to realize, oh, hey, I have a catch here. I have someone that is consistent, with a rich character, with integrity. Somebody that works hard, somebody that I can rely on, somebody that I can actually build a family with. I also think that it's not being very honest when we choose to spend time with a woman and portray ourselves as friends, when you really want her for yourself as a partner. And I think that there are benefits sometimes to be around a woman a lot. And then, I don't know, for some guys, maybe she goes through a breakup and she'll be vulnerable, and maybe all of a sudden she'll start kissing you because, she's alone and all that stuff. Now, that actually happened to me one time before. It actually launched me into my very first relationship that didn't work out. And when I reflect on that, I think about the fact that I started my very first relationship, romantic relationship, with a faulty foundation. The lady was basically head over heels for some other guy that was, and I could say this confidently. He was not a very good fit for any woman. He was a womanizer. He was one of those guys that, kind of thought that he was God's gift to women, and he was just juggling multiple women. So he's somebody that I knew for a fact he was doing that stuff. And she was just one of the many ladies that was admiring him, and he was just juggling multiple women. And he just decided that he wasn't interested in her anymore. And so she's like hurt, and I'm always around her. And so all of a sudden she started to steer her attention towards me. But it was only, I don't know, very short-lived. And so I think that we do ourselves a disservice as men when we want to spend time with a woman portraying to be friends when we really want much more, and she's not willing to give that to us. There are a lot of guys I've known that they just kind of keep the woman around and connect with her and always at her beck and call because they are waiting and hoping that she's going to open her life, to them. And, I think that when you're an amazing guy, you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. People are going to know your value. They're going to know, hey, I'm not going to let this guy get away. I don't want anybody else to have this guy. Not that I'm trying to, sell myself to anyone, but, for example, I'm a guy that I'm traditional when it comes to going out. If I take a lady out on, 10 dates, at least 7 or 8 of those dates, I want to pay for the full date. I have no issue with that. If I'm taking her out, I don't mind doing that. I'm somebody that likes to open doors for ladies. I'm the guy that likes to, when we're walking, across the street, I want to hold her hand. I want to make sure that she's safe. If we're walking on the curb, I want to walk next to the street, closer to the street. So I'm that guy. Now there are some women that they don't care about that stuff. They don't care at all. But there are women that they are looking for that. They do pay attention to that. And so what I really want to encourage you guys to be mindful of is pay attention to that. When a woman says, hey, I don't want you to hold my hand across the street. I don't want you to do this. I don't want you to pay for my meal. Sometimes that's your red flag that you need to pay attention to, that the woman, is not the right fit for you. But I really want to just remind you, gentlemen out there, please don't wait. Please don't wait 1 year, 2 years, 10 years, 20 years for a woman to wake up one day and decide that now you have value because now, I don't know, maybe she has 6 children and now, now you have value because now she knows that you're a reliable guy. You've always been there. I feel like we deserve more than that. We deserve more than that. And I'm not saying being with a woman with children is a bad thing. I have ladies that I've taken interest in the past that have children, and I'm not saying that's bad. But I do think that being someone that is chosen and you are the priority, that the woman recognizes that you have value, that's important. That's important. And I think that the world is constantly teaching women that they need to have standards. They need to recognize their value. They can't make themselves accessible to everyone. And I think what I'm trying to say is that applies to men also. We need to be selective with who we make ourselves available to. We need to make sure that we have a specific standard that we are upholding when it comes to judging the right fit for us as a romantic partner. And we need to make sure that our time is not being wasted with somebody that doesn't care about us. So I just wanted to share that, guys. God bless you guys. I hope you were able to get something from this. This is James here at Unique Perspectives. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. All right, peace.